Hello, and welcome to Unexplained Possibilities Podcast. I'm your host, Melvin the Crimson Taurus, and unfortunately, Neima can't be here with us today. She is out and about traveling this good old country, the US of A. As you guys know, when Neima is MIA, usually I have a guest on to somewhat fill in that role, and today is no exception. Joining me is someone who is quite unique and versatile with her thinking, and very sweet, I must say, and a little nervous, but we'll get over that. She is, if you can believe it or not, a former Jehovah's Witness, which is pretty awesome, and I'm talking about the one and only Janéye.
Hi, everybody.
So, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
How'd you like my little intro for you?
Oh, that was very professional.
I don't know about that, but I will
I like
take
the radio voice you have.
Oh, thank you. Would you believe it if I told you I made it up on the spot right now?
No.
Well, I made it up on the spot right now. So.
Okay, well then I kind of have to believe you. Okay.
Yeah, so sometimes I do that from time to time. I just go with it. So, how are you on this glorious, well, for you, Saturday afternoon?
Oh, it's not Saturday where you're at?
Well, I meant afternoon.
Oh, okay. Well,
I mean, of course it's Saturday. I told you I was in California.
You did. I have off today, so...
Yeah, you don't care. All you see is day off. Nothing else matters.
My day is very good because of that.
Okay, that's awesome. So I said something in the intro which a lot of people are definitely going to catch, and it's you are a former Jehovah's Witness.
Yes.
And when we hear Jehovah's Witness, unfortunately, not the best things come up. And mostly people who experience various folks who are Jehovah's Witness, it's them knocking on the doors and trying to save your soul, which, thank you, but no thank you.
Right.
But I'm assuming it's more to it than just that.
Well, I mean, yeah, of course it is. I was raised in it, so I was a Jehovah's Witness till my early 20s.
Let's start with the basics. What is a Jehovah's Witness?
Okay, well, Jehovah's Witness, to me, I would explain it falls under the Christian umbrella. Of course, they wouldn't like that explanation because they do everything to set themselves apart from any other Christian religion. They don't call their churches churches. They call them kingdom halls. They don't call their services that. They call them meetings. They do things a lot differently to kind of segregate themselves from the world, as they put it. And the world is everyone else who's not a Jehovah's Witness.
But no problem knocking on the doors to, get you in.
Well, they're always, they wouldn't put it this way, but basically it's what it is. They're always recruiting. I mean, they're always trying to get people in and trying to... A lot of them are nice people, and they truly believe what they're saying. They truly believe, that they're there for your souls. And that they believe that they're helping you. Mm-hmm. So, it's not in a spirit of meanness or anything. It's just they think they're doing what's right.
Yeah.
And for them, maybe they are. Just wasn't for me.
No, I understand. I actually, I just remembered something that a friend of mine did. He was pretty hardcore Catholic, and every now and then Jehovah's Witness would come along, and it's two things you did. Well, three things technically. The first was be an idiot and open the door, which, I don't mean any disrespect to them, but we just don't want to get preached to or hear it. It's just no. The
Right.
second thing was you just hide and wait. Eventually they'll leave. Just hide and wait. Or you could do what he did, which is the third thing. Show up wearing a rosary, a cross of Jesus, and start reciting the Lord's Prayer. And apparently that got him away. So,
Really? Because that wouldn't have affected me at all.
oh no, you were like the Terminator then or something? Like,
No.
is that it?
No, I mean, because you know the people whose houses you're going to aren't Jehovah's Witnesses, so you know you're going to come across people of other faiths and other belief systems, and you really, I don't know. I don't know why that would throw someone off that bad unless, I don't know.
Yeah, so that one though is like, no. But hey, if it works, it works.
But I did have one guy answer the door one time, butt naked.
Oh, wow. All right. So now a couple of things could happen in this scenario. I won't say one of them, but did you leave?
No.
Wow, you are the Terminator. Like, all right, you want to do that? We'll do it.
Right. I mean, I just stood there and gave my little spiel and acted like he was wearing clothes, and he was very polite and said, "I'm not interested, but thank you for stopping by," and we left.
Holy cow. That's so... Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's funny.
here's a little behind the scenes for you guys. Janae said, oh, I won't have anything interesting to say and this and that. And you bust out with this? Yeah, nothing interesting. So, you said that you guys kind of know what houses, people who are and aren't Jehovah's Witnesses or anything like that, that you know of. Is there a list that's actually kept or something?
I mean, not an actual list of people and whose religion and all that. You just know that you're going to worldly people, and talking to them. It's not going to be shocking that someone answers the door and they're wearing a rosary or crucifix or a pagan jewelry, because you know that you're out there to teach them the truth.
Okay.
That's what they call it.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm still stuck on a dude answering the door naked and not even bothering you.
I was like 13.
Oh, wow. That doesn't make it better.
I was like 13, so yeah.
Whoa, what an experience for you. Oh my gosh.
And I was living in California at the time, so.
It would be here, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, what part?
Fresno.
Oh,
Not
okay.
a very pretty part, but.
So, yeah, no, it's starting to make sense now. It's starting to make sense. So, all right, I get it now. But that 13? Wow.
Yeah. For a year, I went to live with my dad, and that's where he lived.
Okay, now, so they actually have, for lack of a better word, recruiters that young.
Well, I mean, as soon as you can talk, basically, the whole time I was growing up, I was memorizing Bible verses, and when you get a little older, you're developing talks to do in front of people, and you're memorizing things you're going to say. And I studied a little bit of different religions so that I could best know how to talk to them, mm-hmm. and see their points that they might not like about their religion and stuff that they might like about mine. And yeah, I did a lot of homework on it. And my family, I don't know if they're really considered typical, but like my dad would always, anytime I went to him with a question about the Bible, mm-hmm. he wouldn't answer it. He would make me do like a 10-page report on it.
Oh.
So I definitely knew a lot about it.
Yeah, I would hate to see the extra credit. Okay, so...
They were a little stricter.
Is your family are they still Jehovah's Witnesses?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, I have family that's not too, but my mom and my dad, they still are.
Okay, now, this is my ignorance showing, but is there like, what happens if someone leaves but their family is still in? Are there rules where you're not allowed to associate, or you can associate and you're still a family and all that, or are you
Well,
disowned?
it just depends on the way you leave. Like, if you were never baptized and you decide it's not for you and you leave, everybody can still talk to you. Because that's the case with my daughter. But me, on the other hand, I got disfellowshipped, which is basically like excommunicated, because I smoked cigarettes, and they kicked me out for that, disfellowshipped me, and now my family basically wouldn't have anything to do with me, wouldn't accept my phone calls, won't talk to me, and I mean, I lost all my friends, all my family that year, because they encourage you not to have any worldly friends because bad association spoils good habits, kind of thing. And so all my friends were Jehovah's Witnesses, and all my family was Jehovah's Witnesses that I talked to, and so I had nobody. I was kind of really alone that first year.
I am so sorry.
Oh, well,
I
it was when I was 21, so
Yeah,
it's
well, it doesn't matter. That's a lot. I mean, and you're still 21's really freaking young.
yeah.
So it's a lot, and it actually reminds me a little bit of Scientology when they get rid of somebody and they don't associate with them. Like, you no longer exist.
Basically,
And
I was told never to call my family again. I called my grandma's house in California is the one that she's like the head of the family kind of thing, and everyone always used her house as a home base. So I called there, and I was told multiple times not to call back.
jeez, I am sorry. That's messed up.
Yeah,
I don't know. I guess I said this with Tori. Like, I don't understand how something can be this important where you just can cut off someone that is a loved one. I just don't understand that.
agreed. I don't get it either. And when I had kids, I made a decision that I would never cut them off. I mean, they could do stuff, and I could be disappointed in them, but I wouldn't just cut them out like that.
Yeah. But I'm also assuming it toughened you up fairly well.
Um, yeah, I mean, I guess it did. I just moved on, I guess. I mean, I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
I just made new friends and made mistakes because I was really sheltered. So, being sheltered, I thought that the people in my life that weren't really good for me, I thought that was just how worldly people were. Because they weren't Jehovah's Witnesses, so why would they be nice and innocent and sweet? So, I mean, it sounds stupid now thinking back on it, but you live a certain way for 2 decades, and then you go into a whole new, different situation. I didn't really know what to expect.
Yeah, it's almost a cultural shock.
It was. Big
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, so I mean, now out of curiosity, what was one of the first naughty thing aside from smoking a cigarette? What was one of the first quote unquote naughty things that you did when you were out that they said, "No, don't do this. This was bad."
Watching rated R movies.
Wait a second.
It was so trivial, but that was like such a big thing.
Really? Oh my gosh, so that means you never saw Terminator 2
No, not when I was a Jehovah's
or
Witness.
Terminator. Oh my
I saw
god.
one rated R movie the whole time I was a Jehovah's Witness, and I felt so bad. But my aunt, she, when I was younger, she took me to the movie theater, and she was my aunt that wasn't a Jehovah's Witness.
Okay.
And so I got to stay the night with them, and we went to the movies, and she's like, so out of all these movies here, which one do you want to see? Don't think about what you should see or what you shouldn't see. What do you want to see? And I looked at all of them, and I just looked at her like I was scared to say it. But I wanted to see, I think it was called The First Power with Lou Diamond Phillips.
I'm not familiar with that one, but...
Yeah, but I'm just looking it up real quick to make sure that's what it was.
Yeah, Lou Diamond Phillips. There, yeah, The First Power.
Yeah, that's it. And she was like, really? And I was like, yeah. I don't have to see that one, though. And she goes, nope, that's what you want. That's what you'll go see. So I went to see that, and I just felt like she was the coolest aunt in the world, and like I was just doing bad things.
I mean, well, you picked a heck of a film, too. I'm reading some of this. Like, just to give the audience a taste real quick, a sadistic serial killer, Patrick Channing, known by most as the Pentagram Killer, is at large in Los Angeles, killing innocent people as a sacrifice to Satan. What the heck?
I was really drawn to, well, I mean, I considered them darker things, even as I was younger, and I tried to ignore it, but apparently, eventually, I got into them when I got older, but it was still there.
I see. But, yeah, heck of a first rated R movie.
I'm embarrassed now. I'm turning red. Nobody can see me blushing, but I'm blushing.
Yeah, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Blush away. If Bonnie were here, she probably would have said, like, oh, well, I saw a porno or something, and then it would have been like, oh, well. Yeah, so you're good. Blush away.
Yeah, and then the other thing was, gambling, because you're not allowed to gamble. So buying a lottery ticket was just taboo.
Oh, wow. Now, you know what would have been awesome if you actually won?
I know, right?
That would have been like, eat it! Yes! But, yeah, buying a lotto ticket, that's interesting.
It was like a dirty pleasure kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I did read slightly that when it comes to certain things, it's like you don't put yourself first, or you don't show off. And I was watching some documentary, and they were talking about Jehovah's Witness. Oh, you know what? I take it back. You know what it was? It was Leah Remini's show, Scientology and the Aftermath. And they had a Jehovah's Witness special. And one of the people who were, yeah, you might like it. I don't know. You could contact her. She's doing that stuff. One of the people was saying that they want to make their family proud and all that. And they ran for class president and they won. And his family, they were mad. And they were like, why are you showing off and showing out and this and that? You are sinning. Because
right.
Apparently, you're not supposed to overachieve like that. And, is that...
No.
That's true.
That's true. I couldn't try out for any sports teams or music classes or do anything extra in school.
Wow. Where?
And I had a friend growing up that she was a little bit more rebellious than I was. And she tried out for cheerleading and got in.
Oh.
And then her parents made her quit. But, yeah.
Wow, that's insane. No. I mean, I was a very lazy underachiever in school, so I wouldn't have done any of that to begin with. But to think, I mean, it's just a sense of pride. I mean, it's nothing bad being class president. It's just a little thing of pride and like, yeah, look what I could do. I can actually help people.
Yeah, and I guess... Well, at least my family's thing was you're supposed to give glory to God. You're not supposed to be getting glory for yourself. So you need to be talking to people about your faith, not doing all this extra stuff with these worldly people who are a bad association because they don't have the same beliefs you do and are going to take you down a wrong path. You don't need to spend any extra time with them. You just need to do what you need to do to be a good Jehovah's Witness.
Wow. That's just too much. I mean, you're a kid.
Well, I mean, when you're raised in it, you don't really see it that way, I guess.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's all like you were saying, and grow up with it. You think it's normal, which it is normal because you're in it.
Right.
Versus outside world, they're looking in like you're crazy. But, well,
Yeah.
you're crazy. Look at you. I'm not sinning.
I had a friend when I was in elementary school, and they don't celebrate birthdays either. And I had a friend that gave me a birthday present, and I was so beyond the moon happy and ecstatic and excited, and went home and showed my mom and was like fixing to open it, and she wouldn't let me open it.
Oh.
And she told me that I had to go give it back. And I was just crying.
Wow.
I didn't understand. I was just heartbroken that I had to give this exciting present that I just got from my best friend. Yeah, so.
Now, it's not just birthdays, right? Isn't it holidays in general that isn't celebrated?
Oh, yeah, they don't celebrate anything besides wedding anniversaries and the memorial of Jesus Christ's death.
Okay, and, well, I probably insulted every single believer of Jesus, though, on the Yapping at Midnight that Bonnie and I recorded. And I said, well, Jesus is a zombie, so, and
Well, technically, that is the term you use for that kind of.
I mean, he died on the cross. They threw him in a cave, put a rock there, came back 3 days later. He's a zombie. He's alive again. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, technically, that's what a zombie is. Dead and now back moving around.
So, there we go. I insulted everybody again. But I would not fit in with the group.
I don't either. Don't feel bad.
Okay, so this is going to sound weird, but I actually think because it seems, well, again, we have a what is normal situation where if you're a Jehovah's Witness, you live it. This is normal for you versus someone who's on the outside and their reality is normal and okay. But I have a theory, and maybe you could give us some insight on this. But the Jacksons, everyone knows who they are. Michael Jackson, LaToya, the Jackson 5,
Right.
Them. Since their father was a Jehovah's Witness and they had so many kids, but they weren't able to have really a childhood with the Jackson 5 forming, and no Christmas, no Halloween or birthdays and all that stuff, and then being on tour all the time and just not having any type of really holiday kiddie fun, I think that's actually what drove Michael Jackson to become, for a minute, Wacko Jacko, as they used to call him.
Right.
And I want to know your opinion. Do you think that being a Jehovah's Witness as a kid and not being able to just have that mindless little fun, do you think that can actually affect you as an adult?
I don't know if there's an age limit on it, but I have an opinion. It's just my opinion. But I believe that Jehovah's Witness kids, when they get more freedom in their life and they're able to make their own decisions and they get away from it a little bit, a lot of them, it's like a spring being compressed for so long. And then when they finally get that freedom, it's let loose and it just goes all over the place. It just goes crazy for a minute because they've been compressed for so long. And yeah, it happens to a lot of Jehovah's Witness kids. I think it's just psychology, but I don't know.
I mean, yeah, look at you going to your rated R movies.
Well, I was a rebellious Jehovah's Witness.
So, but
The young one, but yeah.
I do wonder about that, though, and I don't know, because like you said, if it's compressed like that, and sometimes we see that with the Amish as well. I can't think of the proper name for when they come of age and they can go out into the world.
Springer? I don't remember.
And they go wild, some of them.
But that's what they're supposed to do for
Yeah.
a little bit, is be in the world and figure out what they want.
And yeah, and then I do think they get the choice. Like, if you want to come back, you come back. If you don't, well, bye bye.
Right.
So, but that is interesting though. Now, does a choice like that exist in the? I don't even know how to properly say this, but when you're a Jehovah's Witness, is there a choice like similar to the Amish?
Not structured like theirs is. I mean, I could always go back whenever I wanted to. I would just have to, because I'm disfellowshipped, I would just have to go to meetings 3 times a week for a year.
Oh.
With nobody talking to me, because they're not allowed to talk to disfellowship people. So you just have to show up and be in the meetings and leave for like a year.
Jeez. I mean,
and then they'll accept you back in, and then people can talk to you.
that's a little weird. I mean, hey, just show up here, but I'm not telling you this since I can't talk to you, and just sit here and
Yeah.
you're sitting in.
And I mean, an elder or ministerial servant might come and talk to you and say hi, but they won't really, I don't think, converse with you. I've never went, so I don't know what the extent of what they do. I'm just guessing at this point, because it wasn't worth it to me.
I don't blame you. What the heck is that? You're gonna come here 3 times and throughout the entire year, and you're just gonna sit here in silence?
Well, I say 3 times a week because when I was going, we went 3 times a week. We went Tuesday nights for Bible study at someone's house for an hour. Then on Thursdays, we went to the Kingdom Hall for 2 hours and did our studying. And then Sundays, we went for 2 hours, and half of it was a talk, and then half of it was the Watchtower study. And then on the weekends, you also did going out in service, which is the knocking on doors, and you'd go for a few hours on Saturday, and you could go Sunday after church. Or, they didn't call it church, but yeah.
That's different. It's interesting, but different,
But it's your whole life is being a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's a legit commitment, and I don't want to use this term, but I'm going to use this term. It almost sounds like a cult.
Yeah, it's not the first time I've heard it, and it is a good word to use, especially being out of it. I can see the similarities.
Yeah, but, saying that, though, and this is probably my bias coming out, because I'm not a very religious person at all. Everyone likes to say, well, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. Well, I'll just say, I don't know if I'm spiritual or not. I believe in a lot of stuff, but I'm certainly not a believer in organized religion, so to speak. I feel that oftentimes they take advantage of people and play on their fears, and they don't really help. I mean,
Right.
I would rather someone say, like, hey, you don't believe in Jesus or God or Christian God, whomever, that's fine. Just, if you need help, you need someone to speak to, I'll speak to you. I won't preach to you. And just try to live a good life. Just try to be a decent person. Done.
Right.
Yeah. Not, you need to convert and get baptized, accept Jesus in your heart, or else you're gonna burn for all of eternity. I don't need to hear that, especially as a little kid. I don't know.
That's okay. My little granddaughter, I was talking to her the other day, and she goes, Grandma. And I was like, what? She goes, I've been saved. And I was like, really? I didn't know you were lost. And she was like, me neither. I was just like, okay. And that's one thing that Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe in. They don't believe in baptizing babies.
Okay.
So, I mean, some religions do, and they don't. I just came to my mind that they don't. They wait until you're old enough to make a informed decision, but it's neither here nor there.
Yeah, well, I do like that at least. I mean, because, I've seen some of the horror videos of what some of those Catholic priests do to the babies. Oh, they're terrible.
But I will say that if I had it to do all over again, if I was still a Jehovah's Witness, I wouldn't get baptized.
Yeah.
Not until I was older, because I was like 16.
Okay.
And I was still forming my ideas and everything, and that's the only reason why I was able to be disfellowshipped, is because I was baptized.
Yeah.
So if I wasn't baptized, I would have still had all my friends and family.
Darn. I mean, I do like that, though, that if you don't want to, you don't have to. That is a nice safety net. But then, at the same time, it's like, if you get this, you're committed for life, period.
Well, at some point, you start to have certain people in the congregation looking at you like, why haven't you gotten baptized yet?
Oh,
and
God.
just thinking you're doing shady shit just for not, doing shady shit for just breathing, because you're not doing what they think that you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, that sucks.
But, yeah, it is what it is.
Now, okay, so since you were there as a teen, and everyone knows when you're a teen, you start developing mess and hormones, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Were you actually dating at the time, or could you not date? Was that a no-no?
I could not date. And, okay, my story is a little bit different than most Jehovah's Witnesses at that point, because my mom, she has bipolar disorder.
Oh, okay.
But they believe that 144,000 chosen ones are going to go rule in heaven with Christ, and that everyone else that are all Jehovah's Witnesses are going to be on a paradise earth. So every Memorial Day, they pass the cup of wine and the bread around, and if you partake of it, that means you're one of the chosen ones to go live with Christ in heaven and rule with him. Well, every year, my mom would partake, and the elders, they have to write her down, even though she has mental issues. They had to write her down, but then they also put a note, that she did. But my mom, she was a little unstable, and I think she had more than just bipolar. But
Okay.
yeah, she made sure that she was so scared of me losing my virginity, which had already happened by this point, but she didn't know it.
Oh, wow.
She was so scared of me losing my virginity that she married me off to someone way older than me.
Wait.
Because she didn't want me to have sex outside marriage.
Oh, okay. Well, wait. Two things.
Yeah.
You were a rebel Jehovah's Witness. My word. What's wrong with you, Janéye? You should be ashamed of yourself.
Oh, I was for a long time. I'm over it now.
Well, I'm sure you are. I would hope so. Well, hey, you can always brag. I had fun, and you'll never guess how, and you'll never know what I did. But
I do have memories, that's for sure.
the second thing is marry you off. They can. Are you serious?
No, I mean, that sounds. It is bad, but no, they don't do that.
Okay.
That was just my mom. My mom, in her mind, she had gotten off her medication and decided that this is what needed to happen. And she met this guy at the skating rink in the biggest town next to us, and said, "This is who I want to introduce Janéye to." And so we met up at the skating rink and met and started dating. And then he asked me to marry him, and my mom was like, "Yeah, I'll sign for you. You need to get married. You need to do this." And basically sent me off. And, well, I have to explain a little bit, too. My mom had just gotten married recently to a guy. It was just me and her and my sister growing up. And she had a relationship or two that was really bad. And then, for the most part, it was just us. And then this other guy comes in, and his name was Dan. And Dan didn't like kids. He hated children. So he would always make these jokes about me and my sister, saying that we needed to go down to the pool and throw rocks at each other until one of us didn't come up.
Oh my gosh.
And he would say it with a straight face, but then insist he was joking.
No, that's not joke. I mean, I don't like kids either, but I don't think I've ever said, like, I hope one of you brats drown, and then you'll see the kingdom of God. I've never...
But why would you get with someone who has 2 teenage kids? I mean, if you hate kids.
Well, this is a terrible thing to say. I could give you the guy answer, but...
I'm just saying, it wasn't a smart move, but...
No, not at all.
Especially for my mom after hearing that, but that happened. So she was even more inclined to get me out of the house, I think, because of that. And I was more inclined to not be there because I was miserable. But, yeah. So I got married when I was 16.
Well, I suppose it's common in the South, so I know you weren't in the South. I'm just saying, in the South, I'm pretty sure they still do that.
Yeah, it just felt a little bit more South than I wanted to be.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, he was 27.
Well, you know what? I suppose it's better than him being in his 40s and 50s or something.
Oh, true. Oh, God, yes.
Oh, wow. Evidently you had, like, a thought, like, oh, jeez.
No, I just had, like, wrinkled balls in my head. I was like, okay. I'm good.
So yeah, it's, hindsight. But
at that age, that's what you think 40-year-olds or 50-year-olds have. I mean...
Well, I never thought that, but I always thought, like, maybe when you hit 65 and up, but sure.
Okay, so my version of old gets older the older I get. So when I was 16, 27 seemed ancient to me. I mean, I thought this was just a person who had their shit together and had lived life, and, it didn't turn out to be the case, but we got divorced when I was 20. So basically, yeah, I stopped being a Jehovah's Witness when I was 20, and 21 was the first year I was not a Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, wow, it came at you fast.
Well, he was not a very nice person.
Okay, well...
He was not. We'll just leave it at that. Yeah. But I came home from work one day, and he had been stressing me out so bad, just being mean and vindictive and just not nice, that I started smoking for just a stress relief. And you're not supposed to do that when you're a Jehovah's Witness, so I hid it. He found it while I was at work, my stash, and turned me into the elders before I even got home.
Wow.
And said, you need to drive over to the Kingdom Hall and talk to the elders right now. They're waiting on you.
Jeez.
And I kind of snapped in that moment and had a fuck you and everyone else moment, and told him I wanted a divorce when I got back home, and I was disfellowshipped when I came back home. So, yeah.
That was that. Well, he can suck a lemon and fall off a cliff. And,
I just felt really betrayed. Like, we'd been married. Why wouldn't you talk to me before you go tattletale?
And you know what? Bringing up Scientology again, that sounds like some of the stories that happened there, where their spouse, they tell. I mean, they tattle.
Right.
And it's just ridiculous. I don't really understand it. I guess because, I'm not in it, but...
Right.
It's weird. But in an odd way, too, I'm trying to see the positive side of this. Maybe it was also a good thing, because look at you now.
True. But it really sucked at the time, because I had a daughter with him.
Oh.
And I believed at the time, well, Jehovah's Witnesses believe that if Armageddon comes and the final Great War happens, that your kids aren't old enough to decide for themselves what they're going to do, like worldly people have decided and Jehovah's Witnesses have decided they're going to do the right thing. And worldly people decide they're not going to do the right thing, so they'll be destroyed at Armageddon. Oh. But kids aren't old enough, so they go through that war on the decisions of their parents. And so I felt like if I took my daughter with me, that I would be essentially killing her. Because I wasn't making the right choice. Even though I was trying to get away from it, and I still had that belief system that I would be killing her if I took her with me. And that was...
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard. I'm so sorry.
Me too.
So,
But I realized a few months later, of course, after I got away from it and my mind started getting right again, I realized the fault in the thinking, and I didn't have the money to go back to court. There was nothing I could do at that point. So that just really sucked because I lost my daughter too.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. It just, yeah.
Yeah, like I say, he could doubly fall off a cliff. I mean that. What was his name? Dan?
Yeah. Oh, no, that was my mom's husband.
Darn it.
This was George.
Okay, so sorry, Dan. I mean, you could fall off one too, pretty much saying kids should kill themselves, but George, you can definitely fall off one.
Yeah.
So there we go. Oh.
Yeah, I took her trick or treating one year because she was raised Jehovah's Witness. Mm-hmm. But I also wanted her. I was at this time, she was a little older. She was 6 or so, and so I was heavily into witchcraft and pagan things, and I wanted to share a little bit of what made me happy with her. And I knew her dad wouldn't like it. And I underestimated her telling the truthness. But I took her trick-or-treating, and she had so much fun, and she fell asleep in the car on the way back. And then she went home with her dad, and she told him everything because she is such a good-natured soul. She's like one of those kids who is so sweet, and I never had to spank her or get on to her or do anything, discipline her, that kind of thing, because I could just look at her and be disappointed, and she would start crying.
Oh, wow.
I mean, she's so tender-hearted. But she told her dad everything, of course. And then he proceeded to make her feel like shit at 6 years old and tell her that she was making Satan's heart happy.
Oh, my God. Yeah, George, you're a real...
And had her bawling and thinking that God hated her, and just the things that he's said to her over the years because of being a Jehovah's Witness. I will never forgive myself for not taking her with me. And she knows that, and she tells me all the time, Mom, you have to forgive yourself. And I'm just like, honey, that's never going to happen.
That's hard. That is crazy hard.
Sorry, didn't mean to get so...
No, it's okay. I mean, it's honestly okay, but it's just that one is tough. Like, that hits you.
Yeah, it still hits me.
I mean, but at the same time, it also means that at least you're human. You care, where other people, some of them, they just don't. It's like, oh, well, so.
Right, and me and my daughter have a great relationship.
Yeah, so, that's something too. You have a relationship as well, so.
Yes.
Right. Cheers for that.
In fact, I missed a phone call from her just now.
Uh-oh.
She probably felt her ears burning.
Okay, so you said that only 144,000 Jehovah's Witness, they actually get to go to heaven and rule with God. Right. Everyone else, you just...
Jesus.
Jesus, excuse me.
Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe they're all one. They believe they're separate.
Okay.
There's God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit. They're separate.
Okay, and then...
But they don't believe in the Trinity.
And then everyone else, you're just kicking it on Paradise Earth.
Right.
And then whomever isn't a believer or you've sinned too much, you're dealing with Armageddon and fighting.
Right, you're basically
tortured.
Yeah, tortured, murdered in the street. Yeah.
Okay. So that's good to know. Well, I guess I'll meet you on the streets and, you grab a gun, I'll get the shovel and some knives and,
It's basically going to be mayhem and everyone's dying that's not doing the right thing, which is being a Jehovah's Witness. And not just any Jehovah's Witness. You have to be doing the right thing for Jehovah's Witnesses. So if you're a Jehovah's Witness and you're not doing the right thing, you're going to die with everyone else.
I mean, who decides this?
they take everything from scripture. So, I mean, but as you probably know, you can take any scripture and bend it 6 different ways depending on how you want it to sound. So, I mean, the birthday thing, for example, is in the Bible. Well, it's not in the Bible, but they take it from the Bible. There's like less than a handful of times that birthdays are mentioned in the Bible. And since they're always mentioned in a negative connotation, they decide that it's just better not to. We're not going to do this because every time they're mentioned, somebody gets beheaded or... So that's probably a bad thing. We're not going to celebrate birthdays.
Okay, so yeah, like, oh no, you're gonna die. Like, what? Yeah, man, you're gonna get your head chopped off. But what about the cake? Cake or your head? Well, what kind of cake is it?
Right? Is it worth it? It might be worth it. What kind of cake is it?
You know, hey, if it's red velvet with cream cheese icing, I'm all on it. Like, instantly.
Noted.
So, yes, it's worth it. Yeah, so is the only way to save those who aren't Jehovah's Witness through converting to being a Jehovah's Witness?
Yes.
And if you do...
Well, basically, they also have the belief that, which other religions have the same type of belief, if there's like an indigenous tribe somewhere that hasn't heard the good news, the word, the truth, they haven't heard it, then they cannot be judged because they don't know.
Okay. So...
But they want to go tell them about it, so they do know, so they'll die.
Oh my God. They figured out a technicality. Like, we're still going to get you.
But I don't think they're the only religion that does that. So.
No. Okay. And let's say someone does convert. Are they treated differently because they're an outsider coming in?
No.
No.
I mean, they might be viewed with some skepticism at first, like, what are your true intentions by some of the people, but for the most part, they're accepted, and it doesn't take long for them to be accepted.
Okay, well, that's good to know, I guess.
As long as they're doing all the stuff they're supposed to be doing, and they're truthfully, honestly in it, I mean...
Okay, well, that's kind of good to know, I think.
It's kind of cool because, like, I'm going to say outsiders, but that's not how they think of it. Just worldly people that come off the street and attend a meeting. If you go to a Kingdom Hall and attend a meeting, everyone is going to be so friendly, and everyone is going to come up to you and shake your hand and greet you and say hi to you, and it's just, they're really nice people. I know I've said all these horrible things, but they are really nice people. I mean, even being kicked out, it doesn't negate the fact of the type of people that were in it. It's just some of the ones in there.
Yeah,
just,
well,
it's hard.
You're able to separate the person from the religion. I mean,
yeah.
You can be a giant jerk off, but be the most religious person in the world, which usually they are. And you could be someone who might be in a religion that you don't necessarily agree with, but the nicest person in the world. So, it's...
Yeah, true.
It's a separation that I sometimes mess up with, and I think many people do. Separating the person from the religion. Like, even though you have your beliefs, are you a decent person?
Right.
But this is how not so nice I am. I'm actually very curious now about those meetings, and I'm going to ask you something. This is going to determine a future step of mine.
Okay.
All right, so at the meetings with, what do you call them, worldly people, where they can pop in, I guess.
Right.
Do they serve you things to eat?
No.
Okay, well, I will not be going, so that ends that.
You're like, not worth it?
Yep. Honestly, I would have gone just out of curiosity, just to see and everything. I wouldn't have been converted. I mean, it's just not happening.
If you get in friendly with people, they'll probably invite you to go out to eat afterwards with them, but yeah, that's the extent of eating. About to eat at a restaurant afterwards.
No, I went to a few synagogues. I have friends who are Jewish, and so we would go to the temple every now and then. I only went because they would give out free food, and it was delicious. I mean, so I'm over here just trying to bum a free meal. This is terrible. I should not be saying this. I might just edit this out. This is so bad.
You're like, I'm really glad this is not live.
Yeah. But pretty much everything I do almost goes through my stomach first.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. You know, who knows? I probably wouldn't have liked it anyway. Like, oh, actually, you know what? This brings up a good point here. So, you know how in Judaism and in Islam they don't eat certain things because they think it's
right,
dirty, nasty, whatever. They just don't. Is it like that with in Jehovah's Witness?
No, I mean, not really. I mean, the only thing they don't really consume is blood, but...
Okay.
I mean, a lot of people don't, so...
So they're not vampires, okay.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of cultures that cook with blood and use it in food.
And the blood sausages and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's not in our culture in the United States, but I know it exists.
Yeah, I can't do that.
You're like, yeah.
But no, I was curious about that. So that's actually good to know. I had absolutely no idea.
But they don't, I mean, speaking of blood, they don't do blood transfusions.
Oh.
That's one thing that they would rather die than get a blood transfusion.
Okay.
And I was the same way. If something would have happened, I would have died rather than getting one.
Wow. The faith is that strong.
Well, I mean, because they view it as, you know, God's gift to you, and you're not supposed to... I've forgotten all the reasons now, but you're not supposed to. It's bad. It's been a while, so I've tried to forget all this stuff, and I've succeeded on a lot of points, but...
Okay, well,
it's bad. You're not supposed to.
I hope I'm not traumatizing you too much then.
No.
Okay.
It's funny, because I can still talk about all this stuff with people, and I can still have Bible debates with people and conversations, which I love to do. But they come away from it thinking that I'm Christian, and I find that so funny because I know what they're trying to say, and so I give them the scriptures and the conversation that they're looking for, and they're like, "Oh, okay, so you're a Christian." I'm like, "No, why'd you think that?" And they're like, "Well, you know so much about it, and you just said this, this, and this." I said, "Well, that's what we were talking about. If that's the mythology you're going to talk about, then yeah, that's how it is."
Oh, wow. So from one extreme to the next.
Well, I mean, I can separate it. It's not...
No, it sounds like you just enjoy a good conversation.
I do. I love to talk about it, but it's really hard to find people that don't get pissed off during the conversation or that want to teach you something. Basically, they just want to browbeat you with their ideas instead of having a mutual discussion.
Yeah, that's you know what? That's actually more common than it should be.
Yeah.
So I can get that.
But I do. I do love talking about it, though.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you some. I don't know if you'll know all of it, but this is from my warped mind, so anything could come out. But things that aren't allowed and things that are allowed. And this is just from everyday life. So we now know smoking is a no-no, and rated R movies are a no-no. What about PG-13?
Those are iffy, and you have to use your best judgment. My dad walked out of a PG-13.
Ooh. You know.
Yeah.
So I just thought chances are Poltergeist would not be accepted. It's a PG-13 movie. But
that is opening yourself up to evil and the devil and demons, and no.
Okay. So PG-13s are iffy. I'm assuming smoking weed is a no-no.
Yeah, you have to obey Caesar's laws.
Oh.
So the law of the land, and that's a law, so yeah.
Okay. So we know that What's the proper terminology? I don't know the proper terminology, but I'm just going to say no showing off. We got that.
Right. No glory to yourself, all glory to God.
Thank you. There we go.
And that's also why they don't say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I'm okay with that, but okay. That's a whole different topic. I'm getting ready to open a can of worms there. I had to stop myself. So...
But it's true.
All right. Witchcraft. Heck no.
No.
Let's see. What about...
I couldn't even wear black fingernail polish because I was opening myself up to demons, so...
Wow. So wait, certain colors should...
I think that's just more of the people I was around, not necessarily a Jehovah's Witness law thing.
Okay. What about magic, illusion magic?
I was discouraged from it. I don't know if they have anything against it, per se.
Oh, wow. So, no David Copperfield?
No.
Cartoons?
Oh my goodness, no. My mom, she wouldn't let me watch the Smurfs.
The Smurfs?
Yeah, the Smurfs, because she said that in our congregation and all the people that she talked to at assemblies and stuff, they said that the Smurfs meant little blue demon in some other language, and everyone was being fooled, and not her family. And I was just like,
the Smurf.
Okay.
Wow, that's the first time I ever heard that. Little blue. That's what I'm going to start calling them now. Why are you watching the little blue demons?
And they also don't believe in dinosaurs.
Uh-oh. So now we're going into a type of creationism thing.
Yeah, they believe that Satan basically put dinosaur bones in the earth to fool mankind. They didn't exist, and he's misleading the masses.
Okay, well, that one is different than what I initially thought. I'm thinking you're going to say that, like, man walked with dinosaurs or whatever. But no, nope. you went somewhere else, and I am equally as shocked.
No, because dinosaurs basically, I mean, this is just my opinion, dinosaurs mean that there was an evolution of things or a different order than what the Bible says. The Bible says there was this man, and basically all the fossils we find and all the scientific proof is Satan and his demons trying to fuck up our beliefs.
Okay, so do they view the Bible almost like evangelicals and everything in it is legit? Yes. I did not know that. You taught me something completely new. I had no idea.
Yep. That's why growing up I had to memorize Bible passages. I had to read the Bible from cover to cover a few times. I mean, and it's Bible-centric.
Wow. Okay. Now, are there certain versions of the Bible that's allowed or not allowed?
Oh, there's only one version. Because they view all the other versions as flawed and worldly. So only their version is the correct one. It's the New World Translation.
Okay, so no King James.
But what's funny is when I went out in service, I had my New World Translation that I would read from to people. And if they said, I don't believe anything unless it comes from a King James Bible, because that happened a lot, I would pull out a King James Bible and then prove it to them from their Bible.
You know, something tells me you got a lot of looks like you.
You little bitch.
So that's a good way to put someone in check. Oh, wait, hold up. I got something for you.
Well, I mean, part of being an effective, going out in service is knowing who you're talking to. And knowing how to sway their opinions and knowing just research.
Now, looking back on it now, how do you feel about that going out and, trying to save souls and such?
I mean, I don't think much about it. In fact, I got Jehovah's Witnesses at my door like a month ago.
Oh.
And
hey, I know you guys.
Well, it was no one I recognized.
Well, I don't know you specifically, but I know of you.
Yes. And I used to, right after I was disfellowshipped, I was kind of bitter, and I knew the points that they were weak on, and the ones that most people didn't learn. So I would try to fuck them up in their presentations. And I would just ask them all these questions about evolution and the Trinity, and I would go off, and they're like, well, you know what? I don't know that. And then I was like, oh, that's okay. I'm disfellowshipped. And they would just look at me, and they would just walk off.
Yeah, there we
go.
I
mean, because I got tired of it. Every time I had a Jehovah's Witness come up and I tell them I'm disfellowshipped, they would stop mid-sentence, turn around, and walk off like I didn't exist.
Theoretically, would just saying I'm disfellowshipped, would that just instantly, nope?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, people. Everyone, we have a weapon.
But do know that when you say that, they do keep some sort of records. They don't have as detailed records as you were talking earlier. Mm-hmm. But they do keep records, especially of all the disfellowship people and where they live.
Okay, so with this
they'll
power...
write it down and they'll send it into Bethel in New York.
Oh, wow. Yeah, use this power wisely. It can come back and bite you in the butt, so use it wisely.
I don't know how it would bite you in the butt, but just know that.
Yeah, hey, better safe than sorry, but okay, that's good to know, though. You just gave us a new tool.
You're welcome.
Now I'm curious too. So, my belief is that, well, I'm not a believer in the Bible per se. Again, topic for another time, but what do you think they would say, or what would you say if you were still a Jehovah's Witness, if we were having a conversation like we are, and we bring up the revelations, or maybe not revelations, but even like whatever war Michael had with Lucifer, even though I think the Morning Stars said one time in there, but whatever.
Right.
And I bust out something like this. Like, you know what? What if God isn't the good guy here? What if he's the bad guy because he told all the angels to bow down to the humans and all that? And Lucifer said, no, why would I do that? I bow down to you. You're my father, my creator. They're whatever. And because of that, because that's a type of free will, I would say. And because of that, he was literally the black sheep almost immediately and kicked out or whatever. And he was PO'd about it. And he came back, or he didn't come back, but he was on the planet just watching from the shadows. And because Old Testament God was pretty rough, I think everyone can agree with this.
Understatement.
Yeah, so, and he sees that how his father's treating his latest creation, and it's not good, turning people into salt, because, he didn't like them partying in Babylon too much, and killing innocent kids.
Actually, she was turned into salt because she looked back.
Well, yeah, look back. That's what I meant. But, then the episode with the Exodus and Moses and, killing literally innocent people because the Pharaoh was stubborn and all that. I mean, I think that's pretty jacked. And then just not believing strong enough, told Abraham, yeah, sacrifice your kid. What? Yeah, go ahead and kill him. Like, don't worry, I was just joking, man. I was kidding. Kill the sheep instead. What? So, you see all of this, and let's say Lucifer is fed up and is like, dude, I could do a better job than this. This is jacked. And he gathers his troops. What we'll say they're the spirits of fallen humans. And yeah, he goes back up to heaven or whatever, to those pearly white gates. He kicks it in, and the war happens. And what if God's side lost the war, and Lucifer became new God, and we see him trying to set things right in the New Testament? And that's why we have such a drastic change in personality because, I mean, we went from, fire and brimstone to, hey, man, love one another, It's like, hey, that doesn't just happen. That to me sounds like two different personalities. So.
Well, see, me now is intrigued, but me then, as a Jehovah's Witness, I would just be like, oh, this poor guy. Satan really has his hooks in him. I need to help him see the way that it really is because he's being lied to. Yeah.
So I was just curious about that. I mean, but did anyone ever question why there was such a about face with God in the Bible?
I mean, it's broken into two different parts, obviously, but they believed that that's the way it had to be for that time, and things happened, and that's a different way that God was after. Forgot what the catalyst was. I don't remember if it was Jesus dying for our sins or if it was the flood, or I don't remember that. But there was stuff that happened, and then God was a different way towards me.
Yeah, I mean, but I kind of like my theory, though. Like, it was just...
I like your theory, though. I like it. It makes you think.
Yeah, I mean, it's other stuff involved. I could get into the alien thing. Like, well, maybe God's an alien, the angels are followers, and they got mad, overthrew him, blah, blah, blah. Well, who knows? Maybe we'll do a show like that one day, but...
I mean, I would actually like to look into the Nephilim a little more, personally.
You would, the Nephilim, really? Like, what I mean is, if you were still a Jehovah's Witness, you'd definitely be kicked out since...
No, they believe in the Nephilim.
Are you serious? For real?
Yeah, because it's in the Bible.
Oh, that's right. If it's in the Bible, it's okay. That's right.
Yeah. I mean, but it always was intriguing to me that angels, or even fallen angels, would procreate with beautiful human women. It was just a little naughty and taboo and intriguing.
Well, you know what, though? It also sounds like the Greek gods, especially that horn dog Zeus.
Zeus?
That's what it sounds like to me. Zeus, he liked his girls, and yeah, he did things. And angels, well, aren't angels supposed to be all male?
I mean, non-androgynous.
Okay.
I mean, but they, I guess, could produce penises.
Well, I mean, I would hope so if you're gonna...
To procreate and make the Nephilim,
yeah.
I mean, because this mythology is true.
Oh, gosh. Could you imagine? That would be interesting. Like, hey, babe, come here. Look what I could do. Oh, my God, it's nothing there. Keep looking. Oh.
Get it off!
So, that's interesting, though. But, yeah, the Nephilim, to me, is interesting because it could go into several different ways.
But, I mean, belief in angels is actually older than Christianity.
Oh, well, yes.
Which I didn't know when I was a Jehovah's Witness.
Well, you know what? You might want to look into voodoo. I think you'd enjoy reading up on that as well.
Okay.
And I say that because there's certain aspects that's similar to the Abrahamic belief system. And the thing is, a lot of people... It's so many misconceptions about voodoo. One of them is they think that it's polytheistic, and it isn't. It's mono.
Right, it's like Christianity mixed with paganism.
Well, not quite. What happened was that when they were bringing the slaves from West Africa to the New World, they were forced to adapt and add Catholicism to it. So if you were coming to the New World, Hades and New Orleans, all that, and you were a slave, you were dealing with the French, and you added French saints, French Catholicism to it. And if you were going to South America, then you were with the Spanish, and they use Spanish saints and the Spanish Catholicism, and that actually evolved into Santeria. So Santeria and Voodoo are very, very similar. Their roots are from Voodoo, which is from West Africa. But Voodoo or Voodoo itself, it has one god, Bondi, which means good God, y'all. And they don't have a lord. I mean, not a lord. Sorry, they don't have angels. They have Loa, and
Right.
what they are, there are ancestor spirits, literally our ancestor spirits. And what's intriguing is this, because it's no way Christianity could have been over there, or any Abrahamic belief when Voodoo was around, but yet they have some similarities in the Gide family, and the Gide family is the family of death, pretty much, but they don't actually mean death per se. It's complicated, but Papa Gide, the leader of the family, is the first man to ever die, and it's two brothers who are there, and this is what makes it interesting. One was the first murderer, and one was the first victim of murder.
So like Cain and Abel?
Like Cain and Abel. So you tell me how the heck that happened.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of like with Christianity, and there's similarities in previous cultures and customs, like December 25th and virgin getting pregnant, and I mean, there's like similarities in like Egyptian faith and just different ones down time. It's like the mythologies just copy from each other almost.
Oh yeah, I think everything is influenced by everything, but I also believe that it's all connected. In the end, it all leads to the same place. That's what I believe, and it doesn't matter how you get there. You're still gonna get there, and that's why I go back to just be a decent person. It doesn't matter what you believe. Doesn't matter if you hoe around. Just be a decent person. That's it.
I agree. I concur. Yes.
So I am glad you do. Right on. But yeah, definitely look into Voodoo. I think you'll like it. Especially some of the smaller aspects and the Rada and the Petu and all that. It's really good stuff, and it's not at all what people think. You know, the first thing they'll say is, you're demon worshipping or devil worshipping. It's like, no. They don't have a devil in there. So.
No, I mean, I've read up on it a little bit. You definitely know a lot more about it, though. And I am interested in it. I've also looked into Satanism, which is a misnomer.
So, oh, you know what? I actually I did a show with JD Temple, who is a Luciferian.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned so much, and it's quite different than what I thought. It was like, this is not a crazy guy. He's actually quite sane, and
it's quite different than what I was taught as a Jehovah's Witness, what they were.
You know, I'm thinking everyone's just gonna run around naked and try to stabby and sacrifice people. Like, no, it's just not that. It's really open, and it's almost about growing the ego in some ways, but living life.
Right.
So, very interesting stuff. And
yeah, totally different than what you think it is.
And I have to say, because we're coming close to ending it now, but
okay,
from way back when we started, over an hour ago, you said you were nervous and this and that. How do you feel now?
I feel a lot better, thank you.
You see? And even before that, a few weeks back, you're like, I don't know what I was talking about. What about my story's not interesting? And yet, here we are, filled in an entire show, probably could keep going. And you see, you were worried for nothing.
Apparently. Apparently, I was wrong, and you have that on the media now.
Yes. Oh, wait, are you the type of person who doesn't admit they were wrong?
I do, but I for some reason, I hate doing it to men because the men in my life just seem to lord it over.
Oh, well, don't worry. I will not do that. I will only make one copy of this and post it everywhere. Post it everywhere, so don't worry.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. We're good then.
So, but yeah, see, easy beasy. Or easy breezy. There we go. Yeah, easy breezy. Easy.
I was
breezy.
wondering why it was like beautiful cover girl.
Yeah. So, oh gosh. That commercial. Ugh.
You're going to have to cut that out.
No, I'm keeping it in. Who knows? We might get a paycheck from this. Yes, Unexplained Possibilities, endorsed by Easy Breezy Beautiful Cover Girl.
Beautiful. Love it.
So, in closing, is there anything else you'd like to say that people might not know about being a Jehovah's Witness or something about the group or anything?
Not really. I mean, they're genuinely a group of nice people. There's just always a few bad apples in every group, no matter where. I mean, no matter what religion, what group, there's always going to be those bad apples. But I wouldn't recommend it for my kids. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I got you. But at least you give them the choice.
Yes, I did.
So.
They just looked at me and laughed.
Oh, Mom, you're so silly.
Yeah, basically. Thank you, though. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on. You see, it was a great talk.
It was. I'm pleasantly surprised.
And with that, our show has come to an end. Don't forget to follow Unexplained Possibilities on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, and Instagram. Also, let's say you don't have time to sit around and listen to YouTube. Well, Unexplained Possibilities is now on the go. That's right, you can now download various episodes of Unexplained Possibilities and listen to them from Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Currently, there are 5 episodes up with more to come. And remember, guys, there are things that go bump in the night. We didn't talk about them here today, but still be kind and say hi. Bye, everybody.